Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
They gathered here in Minneapolis today to celebrate the life of Prince, but also to try to make sense of his mysterious and untimely death. Here at Paisley Park, where Prince both lived and worked, they came to honor a native son who became a global pop icon.
How did you feel when you heard the news today?
Devastated.
It was 9:43 Central Time Thursday morning when sheriff's deputies found the music legend unresponsive inside of an elevator that led to his living quarters. It was sudden, but not entirely shocking. While just last month, Prince appeared the picture of health, showing up courtside at this Golden State Warriors game, April brought the first signs of trouble. At the Fox Theater in Atlanta on April 7th, organizers canceled 2 concert appearances, saying the entertainer was battling the flu. But just last Thursday, Prince was back in Atlanta to make up for those missed shows. By all accounts, he gave his usual strong performance.
He left everything on the stage. He gave us his all. He did around 4 encores.
Just hours after the show, however, as Prince's private jet was winging its way home to Minneapolis, a medical crisis. The plane was forced to make an emergency landing at 1:30 in the morning in Moline, Illinois. An unresponsive person aboard.
Moline, jet speed 990 down 127.
The celebrity gossip site TMZ broke the story.
They took him to the hospital, and after doctors looked at him, they said, look, you're going to have to stay for 24 hours.
Curiously, TMZ's Harvey Levin says because no private room was available, Prince left the hospital after just 3 hours and flew home.
The reps for Prince told us it was because of the flu. That never made sense to us, because with the flu, you tough it out for 48 minutes so you can get home and you're comfortable rather than in some strange city.
However, the next day after returning to Minneapolis, Prince tweeted out this flyer announcing a dance party that very night at Paisley Park to give thanks for the good weather and for all the love and support. Sharon Jackson, who works for the local paper, the Star Tribune, attended the event, not as a reporter, she says, but as a fan.
He seemed great. He seemed totally fine, energetic.
It just strikes me that what you're describing does not sound like a man on death's door.
I certainly did not get that impression when I was there. He spoke for a couple more minutes and he said, wait a few days before you waste any prayers.
After the show, Prince tweeted out this picture of the crowd and a message: thanks everybody for your extra time. On Wednesday night, outside this Walgreens drugstore near his home, Prince was seen in this photo that TMZ says it obtained, perhaps the last image of him alive. Just hours later, on Thursday morning, Prince was found dead at his home. As his body was released to his family today by the medical examiner, we learned that the riddle of what caused his sudden death almost certainly won't be solved until we get back the results of that autopsy, and that could take weeks.
We are going to leave no stone unturned with this and make sure that that the public knows what happened.
But the sheriff said over and over in his news conference late today that we should not expect any quick answers in this case. Interestingly, he and the other local officials volunteered that they, too, are Prince fans, which is part of why they're treating this case so carefully. As the sheriff told the gathered reporters, to you, Prince Rogers Nelson was a celebrity. To us, he was a community member and good neighbor. Elizabeth, back to you.
A beloved community member. Thanks so much, Dan. An early manager of Prince once said that the thing Prince feared most was being normal. No worries there. He wrote his first song when he was just 7 years old, and it was called Funk Machine.
His music fused funk, R&B, and rock and roll into the most adrenalized sound of the 1980s. His hypersexual image redefined masculinity for a new age. He was a rock star who didn't look like what some people thought a rock star was supposed to look like. Blessed with swagger, seductive allure, and a level of technique that his peers knew was off the chart.
He's the best pop musician that ever lived.
He could do it all, and he could, Prince would take the instrument from you and play it better.
A prolific, ceaselessly creative musical visionary on every front.
He was a game changer. One of the rare combinations of great musician, great singer, great songwriter, and great conceptualist.
If you had a picture of the word prolific and you had to put somebody's picture next to it, it would be Prince.
He was not
confined by rules of race, sexuality, style, music. He had his freedom.
Pushing limits, in total control of his groundbreaking look and sound, with the aura of danger that cutting-edge artists are meant to have.
When he was young, what were his dreams?
He wanted to be Elvis.
A child of a jazz singer mother and a pianist father.
How can I put this? My father he was so hard on me. I was never good enough.
Prince Rogers Nelson grew up in Minneapolis with musical influences that spanned genres, from Joni Mitchell to James Brown, a whiff of Minnesota's Scandinavian melancholy, and the Twin Cities hit Funky Town.
Won't you take me to Funky Town?
Prince was kind of shy as a kid, I guess. I never thought of him like that. Whenever there was music involved, he was the exact opposite of shy. I mean, he really loved music. You could just tell that it was just in him.
You're very sweet, but you're very much to yourself. Okay. And shy?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
He didn't say much of anything, and publicly never would. But from the jump, what he sang was risky, different, and just dripping with sex.
Every song was either a prayer or foreplay. You know, like, you either wanted to drop to your knees or you wanted to drop to your knees.
It was off the rails and irresistible, yet not everyone liked it. When he opened for the Rolling Stones in 1981 in Los Angeles, he was booed off the stage. No big, just 2 years later, he'd have his first big hit single on a song he nearly gave away to another singer.
He wanted somebody else
to do a Little Red Corvette, and I said, no. And I'm like, I'm having a heart attack.
Its success set the stage for Purple Rain. The album which would make Prince an undeniable superstar in everyone's eyes.
Who was tops in the pop of 1984? Christopher Connolly is an associate editor of Rolling Stone. And
Prince was the critics' artist of the year. Both the critics and the readers agreed that he was the soul and R&B artist of the year.
He would go on to amass 7 Grammys and sell more than 100 million records, and see his popularity put him in the cultural crosshairs.
I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with a magazine.
This Darling Nikki verse, deemed public enemy #1 by the Parents Music Resource Center, with Tipper Gore and Susan Baker eager to slap a sticker on albums with explicitly sexual lyrics.
I asked him about the lyrics, and he just said, my generation will understand the real reality of my lyrics.
What if Prince remained a witty provocateur, from his diverse, sometimes lingerie-clad band to his famous Rear Window jumpsuit.
Now move your big ass round this way.
At the MTV VMAs, where, like at the Oscars, fashion was another opportunity for cheeky individuality and defiance of the norm.
Using fashion and clothing to further illustrate his creativity. I don't think t-shirts and jeans were his thing. Too pedestrian.
The power of all of his work would endure, even as musical tastes changed, and the hits stopped coming with such frequency.
Was it difficult for him when hip-hop and rap came on board?
Yeah, he asked me, should I learn to rap? So he'd be embarrassed that I told you that, but I said, I don't think so.
Yet as the career honors started to roll in, he proved his musicianship remained without equal. He was back-to-back glam with Beyonce at the Grammys. Jammed with Tom Petty.
Prince.
The night he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004.
Thank you, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is definitely an honor.
The performer with song titles too lubricious to say on network television became a Jehovah's Witness, asking pals not to swear around him.
What did matter to him, Bob?
That when he did a show, that the band was good, the dancers were good, and that the audience went nuts. That was his greatest joy in life, was playing. It's what he thought he was put on earth to do.
In recent years, he wrote songs about the devastation of Hurricane Katrina and racial strife in the city of Baltimore. Through his final shows, Prince never lost his belief in freedom, for his own creativity, for other artists, and for his fans, the millions he liberated every time he strapped on a guitar and started to play.
Our thanks to Chris. And with fans listening all over again to those indelible songs, the very best of Prince is already slated to be #1 on Billboard next week.